What up? What up, what up, everyone? Got some tea, and I am ready for another episode of Thursday Thyroid Talks. How's everyone doing today? I love Thursday Thyroid Talks. Change the community one woman at a time, you guys. That's what we do. What's up, what's up? Thank you for joining. Welcome to Thursday Thyroid Talks. I'm Coach Sarah Joy. Today is another bomb episode of Thursday Thyroid Talks, episode number 4. We have an amazing thyroid warrior named Jessica coming on today. Jessica number 2. There she is. What's up, everyone? Thursday Thyroid Talks. All right, you guys. You know what? I was talking to someone in my community yesterday, and she said, you know, Sarah, if it wasn't for you, I would be on Thyroid Island. And I was just like, wow. That's why we do this, you guys. So many women are out there still feeling isolated, lonely, and totally on their own when it comes to dealing with their daily symptoms and their thyroid issues. This is our way of bringing the community together, letting you know that you're not alone. Millions of women out there are going through the same thing as you. And that's why I bring on my thyroid warriors every week in order to let you see, you know, just a little glimpse of other people's lives, what they go through on the daily or what they've experienced. And, you know, to be able to spread that awareness and that awakening that we are all in the same boat. We're here for each other. And you're not on Thyroid Island. Holy shit, you are not on Thyroid Island. Like, we are all going through this together daily. What up, Kimmers? So, I want to tell you about this song real fast, you guys. It's called Don't You Worry, Child. See, heaven's got a plan for you, okay? I will never forget when I was so sick. I would be in my room and I would just be so depressed. And I totally felt like I was on Thyroid Island too. And I would listen to this song and I would sob because I always knew there was a bigger destiny in my life and that I wasn't accomplishing it. And I didn't know what it was, but I wanted to figure it out. And I always knew heaven had a plan for me. And I feel like this Thursday Thyroid series is one of those things that heaven had planned for me. My service to the community, my way of helping the world. So without further ado, I will turn my favorite song off and bring on our guest today, Miss Jessica. If you could send me a request to join, that would be awesome. Oh, it just got so quiet in here. My gosh. I'm gonna take a sip of my tea. So what am I drinking? Chamomile Numi, the brand Numi, Numi, chamomile lemon. How you doing, Kim? How's everything going? You had a better day today? Now that you have an amazing wellness plan we put together. All right, here she is. You guys are gonna love her. Favorite people. I have a lot of favorite people in this world. Good, Kim. I'm glad you are. So.
Hi, sorry. This is my lawn.
Hi. It says it's still waiting for you. I can hear you, but I can't see you. So one sec.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh. Are we having Wi-Fi issues?
Probably.
Stupid Wi-Fi. Yeah, it still says waiting. So, I mean, I guess we could start talking since I can hear you. Hi.
Hi. I can't. I don't know if you guys can see me.
Yeah.
Can
you see me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, maybe you're gonna have to go out and come back in. I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, it says unable to join. Dang it, Wi-Fi issues. She'll be back on. I'm sure you guys know how this feels, huh? There's always some sort of techie thingy. Okay, here she comes back in. So, Thyroid Island. Yeah, no one's on Thyroid Island. There you are. Boom. It's like, hi.
Here I am.
Hi.
Hi.
Good. Hi. It's so good to see you. Thank you for joining us today.
Of course. I love hanging out with Sarah. It's always a good time.
Aw, I love hanging out with you too. Thank you. So let's just start with the basics so everyone can like get to know you a little more. So let's just start with like your name and maybe what you do and where you are, and then you can start at the beginning of your story.
Okay, well, my name is Jessica, and I was born with hypothyroidism. Unfortunately, I have lived with this my entire life, but at the same time, I also don't know what it's like not to have it, so I don't know what I'm missing out on.
Which is a blessing.
Which is wonderful in some way. I'm telling you, it's like a blessing in disguise, because like it's actually really funny because my entire life I grew up and I was like, I just thought everything that I had was normal, and then I started meeting people that were not like that were like fine, and then they got thyroid issues, and I was like, wow, that's a symptom. Like eyebrows.
Yeah.
I just thought I didn't have eyebrows, but that's a thyroid symptom, and I had no idea. It was just super crazy. It was like I got all the answers to all my questions, which was really, or all of the things that I thought were normal. I was like, oh, wow, it's not. Okay. But it's cool because then you can start fixing it, or not fixing it, because you're not really broken, but you can start treating them and getting better and feeling better and stuff like that. So yeah, anyways, so I work.
So tell us what it was like to go through your childhood or like teenage years. Like when you say I was born with hypothyroidism, like, what did you experience or how's life been?
Well, I guess like growing up, I didn't really think there was anything inherently wrong. Like I didn't even know. I just was like, I have hypothyroidism. I always thought that I was like handicapped, which was funny. I always thought I was like mentally or just physically, like I was disabled almost. Like that's what I just kind of thought for a long time, which
So
is like the weirdest thing.
What age did you start going to doctors and like starting medication?
I was on medication my whole life. So when I was born, I was born and my parents, I just stopped breathing. And then, so my parents brought me to the hospital, and that's when they discovered I had hypothyroidism. So they started treating me, and then I've just been on medication my whole life, and I have always been like, I don't want to say slow because I'm not dumb. I skipped a grade, which I don't feel like it held me back like in school or anything, but it definitely like I was a very slow moving person, and I just would like take my time with everything all the time. I wasn't a fast moving person. I feel like looking back, especially on family videos and stuff, I was just tired a lot. Like I just feel like even as a kid or a baby or whatever, I was just like, chilling because I just didn't have the same energy that like a normal 5-year-old would have. But in general, I don't feel like it really held me back from, like I said, school or anything. Like I still excelled in school. I still got good grades. I skipped a grade. Like I was still, I wasn't dumb. When I graduated or when I got to high school, it was really hard because hormones on top of hormones, on top of not having your medication right. And, I honestly think that, well, I think a lot of people thought that I was bipolar because I was just all over the place, like emotionally, and I was seriously depressed. And I just, like, on top of the normal shitty part of being a teenager in general, like, that's not easy for anyone, no matter if you have a good life or not.
Yeah.
But then when you add thyroid disease on top of that, and you have your hormones going all over the place on top of that, and your medication's not right, and it's always fluctuating, it was not a fun time for any of us, for myself, for my parents. I kind of feel bad for them. But we all made it through, and that's all that matters. And now we only have to look forward to menopause. So we'll see how that goes.
It's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
The best part is though is like when I was like, I don't know, 15, 14, whatever, I didn't really understand what I know now. And I feel like now that I know what I know, and I feel like I'll know that it's just thyroid related and I can control it a little bit differently than I could when I was, younger, when I didn't know. Um,
So
but
you
it's funny.
started getting like blood work drawn. You were taking
Yeah,
what, levo or synthroid as like a
yeah,
like 5 year old?
as a newborn, yeah, I was like getting thyroid medication since I was like less than 2 weeks old. So, and I've been getting my thyroid checked every 3 to 6 months all throughout my life. I remember so many moments where I just hated I hated blood tests so much. My mom would have to sit down and like I would sit on her lap and she would like coach me through it. There were times where I would just like be like grasping onto like a pole and just bawling my eyes out because I just didn't want to get it. And I honestly I really should talk to my mom about what the experience was like for her as somebody with like growing up and having to put their kid through it because I can't even imagine how hard that would be for a parent. But she was really great. My mom she's just always been super good with kids. It's funny watching her with other kids now, and I'm like, damn, I had a great mom. She's really good with with kids. It's crazy.
Aw.
So she was the best person, I guess, to help me through like those, I mean, I remember the first time too that I did my own, like I didn't ask for my mom's help and I just sat on that chair and I got my blood test and the first time I didn't cry and I was like, hell yeah. It was so funny.
Did your mom take you to get like Slurpees or treats afterwards?
No, they used to give us suckers at the lab. They would give us like suckers and a cool like Band-Aid or something. We got to choose the Band-Aid that we wanted. It was funny. And it
Yeah.
was weird. I was on Synthroid pretty much my whole life. Like I didn't even know. I remember the first time I heard about it was so weird. The first time I ever heard about natural desiccated thyroid, I kind of felt like I've been lied to for my entire life, and I was pissed. Like
Tell, tell
I
me
just
more about
remember
that.
I was I kind of started getting more into like holistic health and natural wellness, and I was curious if there was any more like any natural version of thyroid medication. And I was just like looking it up and like the reviews that I had seen about how many people felt like inherently a million times better. And I was never even given the option. Like no one ever told me that there was another option. Nobody ever told me that you would feel better. Nobody told me anything about that. And I kind of felt pissed. Like, and I was
Yeah.
just like, and so I was like, I'm gonna try this out. So I went to my doctor and I asked about it. And of course he was just like, no,
Mhm.
no, that's not like, of course, like every doctor that I had talked to they always said no. And I was
Mhm.
like, I just want to try it. Like, so this doctor put me on like, I was on 175 micrograms of Synthroid, and this doctor put me on 30 micrograms of natural desiccated thyroid. 30.
Wow.
And
Were
so
you
needless
like
to
symptom
say,
heaven?
yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
get out of bed. I was just
Yeah.
exhausted. Like, I honestly felt like I was dying, which I probably was.
Wow.
And I ended up going to a functional doctor, and he's just like the best doctor I've ever been to, honestly. And um, I paid to
So
see him, and what,
wait a second. Was this all after you were 18 and you started like taking,
yeah.
yeah, like
Mhm.
your care into your own hands? Like your mom wasn't overseeing this anymore?
Yeah, no, no. No, my mom had gone through like cancer treatments and stuff, and I was like her story, it just didn't make sense. And so like she was given chemo and radiation, and then she was just given a hysterectomy, and then she was given hormone replacement therapy, and then she got breast cancer from that. And it was like there was
Oh,
just so much that didn't make sense, and I was just trying to like figure it out. And I was that's kind of what pushed me into this like natural world where I was like, there has to be a better way. So
mm.
that's when I started Googling like other natural thyroid medication, and then found out that there was better options, so many better options. And I was like, I was livid. So went to my doctor. They said they put me on like the lowest dose possible. I think they
Yeah.
would, I don't know if they just didn't know, which is very possible, or if they were
Yeah.
doing that just to scare me off of not ever going on it. Like, my trust for these people is very thin, so
Yeah.
it's really hard to say, but to me, it doesn't make sense that you would have somebody on such a high dose and put them on the lowest possible dose of a different medication. It doesn't, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of scary. In my experience, because I've refused synthetic medication since the get-go,
Hmm.
um, I actually get a lot. I used to. I used to get a lot of doctors angry at me because I wasn't willing to switch,
Hmm.
and and I even had an endo storm into the room one time on my very first appointment and say, I'm just going to let you know right now that unless you're willing to switch, I refuse to work with you. And I was like, excuse me? Peace. Walked out. So, and one of the doctors actually did say to me, it's because we don't know how to handle the dosing. With the Synthroid and the Levo, it is so like bookwork on how they do the dosing. But with the Desiccated, it goes by 7 milligrams, 15 milligrams, or 30 milligrams. And they explained, I had one guy really explain to me, like, we just, with the broad range of dosing on the Desiccated, we can't really feel like we can't get it like as dialed in as we can with the Synthroid or the synthetic. And I was like, okay, that makes sense, but I still am not going to do it. So
That's
so
so
you found a
funny.
doctor who was finally, after your entire life of being on synthetic, you found a doctor who was willing to switch you. Tell me about that.
So I went to him. He was so this is when I lived in Canada. So he wasn't covered under like free healthcare there because he went out on his own because he's very open and very vocal about the medical industry and how absolutely ridiculous they are. And that's partly why he was he is a medical doctor and he can prescribe, but he doesn't treat, he was pissed because he's like, I'm not helping people get better. Like, why am I doing what I'm doing? So he started his own private practice. And so I went to go see him. And then within the first, he wrote me one prescription and like took my thyroid from like whatever the hell it was. I think it was 76 was my TSH. It was like ridiculous to, I'm not joking, the first prescription, it was perfect. Like, I don't know what magic he pulled, but he was just like, this is literally exactly what you need. And it was the perfect amount. Like, it was amazing. And so, he was also working with me with a lot of like, I didn't know this at the time, but he also was the one that turned me on to iodine. He prescribed books about iodine to read and why it was so important. And then he wanted me to be more involved in my own health. And I was like, okay, cool. At the time, I just started studying holistic health. So it made sense to me. And it was part of the reason why I went to go see him to begin with. And then it was, he was a great doctor. The things that I'm looking at what he was giving me now, and I'm like, damn, he was really trying to like fix me up. Like the stuff that like I went to the lab after going to see him. He tests for everything. Like I think they took like 800 vials of blood. I'm pretty sure I wasn't dead from like blood loss. And I know that sounds like a lot, but like he only does it once, and it's to see like every single mark, like almost every box on that entire blood lab sheet was checked
Wow.
off because he checked for everything, like the root cause of every single thing that was going on, and then would supplement from there. And the supplements that he would give us was like very good quality, and it was like unfortunately I didn't really follow the protocol at the time, but I read the books that he gave me, and then when I moved to the US, um, and I kept finishing all like my school classes and stuff. Pretty much everything that I was reading was very much coincided with what he was doing, and I was just like shocked. And and even still today, like if I get my blood test and I'm not sure what it's saying or if I have any questions, I literally just send it to him and make an appointment and pay and talk to him over the phone for like an hour, and then we talk about like whatever we need. It's like he's by far the best doctor I've ever had, like hands
Wow.
down.
I mean, that just really goes to show the difference a doctor can make if, but because the majority of doctors, like in the Western medical system, their hands are tied. They're not trained or really allowed to do any of the things that you just talked about. So that's why he had to break free, start his private practice in order to
A lot
actually
of
help
doctors have to.
for
Yeah.
real.
So many doctors that genuinely give a shit are not doctors that you'll find
Yeah.
in your thing. But to be honest, like, and I'm not gonna pretend like this is not happening either, but there's a lot of functional doctors and there's a lot of practitioners as well that also go on their own way because they do make more money that way.
Mm.
Like, for example, Amy Myers, as much as like her books have helped in some ways, especially with like what to test for and why I'm testing for it, she also pushes that iodine fear. And then also, like, she just won Entrepreneur of the Year, which you're a doctor, not an entrepreneur. And I get that you need business experience, but if your main business is selling more supplements and being like, I just don't have much respect for that. Like, I'm sorry. I don't want you to get Entrepreneur of the Year. I want you to get Doctor of the Year. I want you to get, like, someone that genuinely gives a shit of the year. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
So so since you met this like life-changing doctor, and you switched to Armor, so you have stayed on Armor Thyroid this whole time?
so, yes, and I have tried for sure. I'm not gonna lie though, I have done a lot of research lately in this whole natural desiccated thyroid. I just got a letter actually from my pharmacy saying that the natural desiccated thyroid for some reason is not as strong as it used to be. There's something going on with the production. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but a lot of the natural thyroid medications, like the T4 is too low. So I'm currently actually taking Levo and natural desiccated thyroid because my current doctor, who is, I'm not gonna lie, she's actually pretty cool. Like, she leans kind of like, she obviously is a regular doctor, but she understands why I like natural health so much. And she actually was like doing a lot of intense math and trying to figure out what dosage of T4 to give me along with, just to help bump up my T4 a little bit so I'm not so exhausted. And I feel like it is actually working a lot better. So I'm currently taking both, which is interesting. I've never had both before.
Hmm.
Usually people take either synthetic T3 and synthetic T4, or they take one or the other, but they don't
Yeah.
take synthetic and natural. So I was
Yeah.
surprised that she was willing to prescribe that, and I think it was because she also knew I wasn't going to give it up. So,
Yeah.
um,
Good
but
for
she's
you.
actually pretty cool. She's been super helpful, and then so yeah, I've just been taking that. I obviously forget to take my medication almost every day, so I take my medication almost every other day, and I'm still doing really well.
That's
So,
good.
but yeah.
That's really good that you actually have a doctor that's open and willing, but that you're being strong and advocating for what you want, and standing up, because there's a lot of, we got to step up a lot when it comes to what we want,
Mhm.
and and make ourselves be heard, and not just yeah, 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 you know.
Yeah, I think if you don't know anything, well, I feel like this is true about anything, no matter what it is. Like, if you don't know much about your thyroid in general, you don't know anything about your condition, you're just kind of like, sure, sure.
Mm.
And they could give you cyanide for all you know. Like, they could give you whatever the hell they want and be like, oh, yeah, it's for your thyroid. And if you don't know, you're just going to be a victim of whatever they choose to put you on. And it's like, the more you know, the more power you have. So if you, like, the first thing, like when I found out that there was other options, I was like, oh, it's on now. Like,
Yeah.
we're not fucking around no more. Like, I'm gonna learn as much as I can
Yeah.
about this so that I can be more in control over my own destiny in terms of like medication, because I saw what they did to my mom, and I am not the type of person to like bow down to like anything. So, and this is partly why my mom and I had so many problems when I was a teenager, which she thinks she's
Yeah.
very happy now that I'm not like that.
Yeah.
But at the time, she's like, you just don't listen to anyone. Like, I
Yeah.
don't. I just
You're very
don't.
strong-willed. Yeah.
But it was funny because like the second you start learning and you start knowing, then you're more informed, you can start asking more questions and then understanding more things. And then, I mean, I'm not gonna say like, I mean, I just don't think doctors really like smart, informed patients, you know, like if they can sell you anything that they want, that's easy. And if something doesn't sound right, then just don't like, don't feel like you have to do
Like,
it.
let me check that out and get back to you,
Yeah.
or, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of options. But I wanted to speak to what you said about the desiccated going on in the market right now. So I don't know if I don't remember if we talked about this previously, but something happened to RLC Labs last year. So Nature Throid or West Throid, I think they have three production of medications. Those are the main ones.
Mhm.
They got recalled. They had a massive recall last March or May, and they've just disappeared. Like, I think the whole factory just shut down and they're just gone. I was looking around, it was a big deal. The recall, I think the recall may have been such a big deal, like put them out of business, um, which is really sad because they were one of the top
Yeah.
producing desiccated medications out there for thyroid patients. And so I did some research into it because I was thinking of doing a blog or seeing, or like trying to like inform everyone what was going on. But it was like, I couldn't figure anything out. It was like, it's just all on lock. Like, I literally called them. There was like no answer. I went on their Facebook page. There was no updated post. There was a post about the recall and like the lots that got recalled. Nothing after that. I called two CVS pharmacies to see if they knew anything. Nothing in stock, nothing coming in. It was like they just fell off the map. So I've been sitting here wondering how many people were on thyroid or, on this medication, and now they've had to switch to something and they're struggling, or, what's going on out there. Did you
Yeah.
hear anything about that?
I have vaguely heard something about there was a huge recall. I didn't know that they like fell off the map, but I know that I don't know, like I just got a letter literally like 2 days ago saying that the medication something was not strong enough, so they recalled it as well.
And
I've
that
never
was
felt
Armor.
that was. Yeah, I think it must have been. I don't even know. I think I'm on NP right now, but I'm not sure who is making it. It might be something, it might be a different company. But um yeah, it was really weird. I mean, I'm sure the medication I have was probably recalled, but I'm not going to return it because I
Yeah.
don't really care, honestly. I'm just going
Yeah.
to keep taking what I have, and then I don't
I
know. It's just
had
kind of like,
like 5 or 6 years ago, probably in 2000, like in 2015, I had a functional medicine doctor tell me that he never puts any of his patients on Armor Thyroid because they are not consistent in their dosages. And
it's funny because my doctor in Canada said that they say that a lot, but they go through the same rigorous testing that Synthroid has, and Synthroid's actually had
really,
more recalls ever. And that's why he gets so frustrated with medical doctors because they say this and they're like, yeah, it's just not regulated. It's the same regulation. There's no way that they would be legally allowed to sell at a pharmacy if it wasn't
right,
regulated. So
right.
it's funny. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not really sure who's telling the truth here, but since that doctor actually like saved my life in a way, I trust him a lot more than like what a lot of doctors say. But that doesn't mean that like it could be they again just goes back to they just don't know how to dose it correctly. And I kind of get it. I was self dosing for a while actually for like over a year where I was taking my own thyroid medication in capsule form and I was taking too much and there was like hardly any like there wasn't really much of a just like the ranges were so broad, so I understand why they kind of feel like that. It's kind of hard to guess what you sort of need. And I've also like I mean you also have a half-life too. So just because you take one dose like one day and then another dose another day, like you're not normally going to get the same dosage every single day. Like if you had a working regular thyroid, your thyroid is let's treat the same micrograms of thyroid medication every single day all the time. But it goes by like your half-life too. So it kind of goes over like what you take within like the week. So even if you don't take the same amount every single day, if it averages out, it's still going to be balanced, you know? That's why I like HTMA better, because you can kind of get the trend over a 3-month period versus just like a snapshot of like a single second in a single day, when it can change like the next second and then it change the next second. So
Have,
it's like,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You
yeah,
just, when you said snapshot, have you ever heard, do you know about the white coat syndrome?
I don't think so.
So, if anyone's watching that's like an RN or something, they'll know. So, the white coat syndrome is when a patient walks into the doctor's office and they're like basically nervous for being at the doctor's office. And when they take their blood pressure, the blood pressure is like all high and out of control. And it's because they're stressed out and they're actually kind of in fight or flight, right?
Mhm.
So there's also a similar situation that happens to us when we go to the lab. So if you are like afraid of needles, if you're afraid of the lab draws, if it gives you any sort of anxiety within that moment and you have your adrenals like pumping, you know, blends into your bloodstream, it can actually also like
Affect your
throw
thyroid
off,
and stuff.
it can throw off your numbers. And so you
Mhm.
could actually get results that aren't completely accurate because you were stressed out when that lab draw was happening. And so without consistent daily testing, like you were saying, with like an average, you know, that one tiny snapshot, so many things could have like affected that,
Yeah.
you know. And so like you were saying, that is why I love the HTMA as well, because that it does give you like a broader perspective. So hair HTMA, you guys, is the hair tissue mineral analysis. um that's a whole nother ball game. Should we go
But
into that?
I just want to talk about it really quickly because the weirdest thing happened.
Okay.
And I thought, like, oh, my husband just got home and I thought he was someone else for a second. I was like, what the fuck are you, what do you need? It's just my husband. Sorry.
Stranger danger.
Okay, so okay, this is like really the weirdest thing because I never in my life thought that my hair would teach me so much about my health because I had a I did an HTMA test, and then my doctor raised my medication, which was too high, which I already knew was too high because I could feel all the symptoms of hyper. Then I did another HTMA test, and the same freaking thing was reflected in my HTMA, that my thyroid was too high at that point. So then we lowered my medication, and then I got another test, and it went back down to how it was before, and I was just like, I
What?
was
So
shocked.
wait a second.
I mean, I was like, I kind of knew it was pretty accurate because a lot of the symptoms that I had correlated with what the practitioner was telling me. And then when it showed in my hair, I was just like, yeah, this is 100% legit. I was amazed, like amazed. And that isn't like it's not a diagnostic test, so I'm not going to be like, yeah, you have thyroid issues, but it can show you if your thyroid is trending hyper or hypo, and it's then there's changes that you can make to do that. But I was just like, I was a believer after that, for sure.
Uh-oh. I gotta let my dog out. Hang on.
I'm just gonna look at the
Colton!
phone.
Colton!
How was my brain fog?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, my brain
Sorry.
fog is actually okay. My brain fog is actually not bad. It's pretty good actually. I still there are moments where I still forget things, but I think a lot of it is more stress related and not so much about necessarily my thyroid. But there's so many factors that go into brain fog than just thyroid things. Like you can feel, I mean, there's so many factors. It's not like I feel like a lot of people like to blame things on their thyroid, but it's not just that. There's so many other factors that play into brain fog. It's not just thyroid related. So right now, I would say like it's not terrible, but I've been under a lot of stress lately from work, so I feel like that plays into like being forgetful. But in general, I'm a lot better than I used to be, and I'm still working on a lot of like my own health issues as well. So it's not perfect, but I feel like if you just learn to laugh at yourself and just, make fun of yourself and be okay with it, it's not as it's not as bad, you know? Like sometimes I forget the word cat and then I just make fun of myself and then we all have a good laugh. And it's I've been frustrated a lot with my own brain
Oh,
fog in the past, but
Jess, I'm sorry. I'll be right back. I gotta open up the
okay.
front door. My son's pounding on it. One second.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like yeah, you just have to laugh at yourself and just, I know it's very frustrating if you forget a lot all the time. Like I used to lose my keys and I couldn't remember what I did like the day before. But in general, like just keep taking care of yourself, your brain fog will lift. And there's so many factors that play into that. So, um, yes.
Okay. Sorry, everyone. Um, yeah, so tell me, so because I'm familiar with the HTMA, because I've worked with you on it so much, what was the mineral pattern, I'm curious, in your HTMA that showed the imbalance of your thyroid?
So usually when you get your thyroid check, or sorry, when you get your HTMA, it'll show you trends toward um your hypothyroidism basically. So usually your potassium and sodium will be really depleted, but when they're not, um like when you're in a hyper state, your sodium or potassium will be really, really high. So that is what creates that like excitement, that like hyper excitement, which is like overdrive basically, because sodium will raise your level, like your
The
stress levels, I guess, so to speak.
mm,
Um, but it was really weird because mine was super high when I was in a hyper state. When I was in a hypo state, they were really, really low, which shows more of a burnout, which is what I was. So it was just like it was super interesting just to see that difference, that change in just like a hair test. It was just
yeah.
like never. I mean, I knew it was accurate. I just didn't realize it was like that freaking accurate. I was really impressed.
Yeah, the HTMA is amazing. You've taught me about that. And then the things that I found out from my hair regarding my health was phenomenal, which is, it's such an incredible tool that is like hardly ever used or even known about. That's why I've even put it into my program, my 90-day program. And so anyone that is working with me with a client will get a HTMA test included and an interpretation with Jessica. She's actually she's a HTMA specialist and is like incredibly knowledgeable about all of this and minerals and nutrients. And I love it. She's such a wealth of information.
Mhm.
So, really fast, I just wanted to get back to your story. So, um, when you were telling me about your childhood and your teenage years and how you were just sort of like more tired than like the average kid,
Mhm.
I just imagined you like nestled up on the couch like reading a book. What's that like?
No, I mean, you know what's really weird is I really don't feel like I had that much of a difference. I think it was more when I was like a young child, when I was like 3 or 4. I would just sleep more than like my sister, for example. She would always like be up and have energy and be running around the house. And I would always sleep in late, even as a child. Like I would always be like, when I was a teenager, I would just like struggle so hard to wake up in the morning. Like I would always like we would have to be awake at 5. I wouldn't get out of bed till like 5:30 because I was just exhausted all the time. And then I would sleep as much as I could. I was just sleepy more often than like someone like my sister, for example, who is older than me but had a normal working thyroid, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah.
and then but in general, like in terms of like horseback riding and like hiking and stuff, I would always feel like I could always keep up. It's just that I feel like it would take more out of me than it would normal people, and I would sleep more at night. And in that, if that makes sense. But in general, like it wasn't like holding me back in a sense of, I've had
Yeah.
friends come visit me in San Diego, and I would be like, okay, well, Like why like okay, they always want to go do all these touristy things and it's great and it's fun, but I usually need a nap first and then I'll go. And it's just stuff like that. Like it's just been normal for like my whole life, just being normally tired than the average person. But um it's actually been kind of fun trying to investigate why and like trying to figure out the root cause. I know it's so frustrating for so many people because and you know, we have a life to live, and I get it, but I'm just like I love trying to figure it out. It's like a puzzle to me. I'm like, all right, why am I tired today? Like, and it's I don't
And you know
know.
what? I'm the same way. And so one of the things that really helped me personally was after it was like, I think it was 3 years ago when Dr. Jolene Brighton like came on Instagram with a storm. And I was so intrigued because I was taking, I took the pill, I started taking the pill at like age 15 and then all the way up until obviously I went off of it around 24 and after I was married because I was just tired of being on something that made me feel like I put 10 pounds on and I was bloated and I just even though I wasn't necessarily like healthy at that time, it just felt wrong being on something,
Yeah.
that like I've
Hmm.
always just had that innate sensation of like I don't want to take drugs.
Yeah.
And so I went off of it and got pregnant like right away, but I was okay with that because I was married. But then after I had my son, I was like, hey, I don't really want to get pregnant again. And I didn't want to go back on the pill. And so I did an IUD instead, which was like really no different, but it was just more convenient. And then I stopped
Hmm.
getting my period. And I didn't have a period for like 6 or 7 years. And I just felt so out of touch with my body. It was like incredible on so many levels. So when I started learning from Dr. Jolene Brighton and her book Beyond the Pill about everything, I decided to get it taken out. And thankfully for me, not a lot of girls just have their period restored. But then I realized I literally know nothing about my cycle. I know nothing about how it affects me. So I started tracking it. And it was amazing how tracking my cycle actually gave me insight into like my thyroid symptoms.
Yeah.
And you know how some days you just
Hmm.
feel like shit and you're
Yeah.
just like, why? Well,
Hmm.
I started recognizing that, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna be ovulating in 2 days, or oh my gosh, I'm gonna start my period in like tomorrow or the next day. And like there were actually other answers as to like why that day I was feeling like total crap. And then like when you understand that, you can show yourself you're more like merciful to yourself. You're
Yeah.
like more gracious and you're like, okay,
Yes. Hmm.
have so that's really
Yes.
have so
That's
has
so
anyone
true.
else done
So
that?
I have, okay, it's actually really funny because I remember I started birth control when I was like 16. I don't even know, 16. And like, I don't know if it was just my thyroid, if it was whatever it is. I just kept forgetting to take the stupid pill. Like, and so I would like randomly get my period like within like every 2 weeks because I would forget to take it and then I would get it and then I'd be like fuck and then I'd start taking it again and I was just screwing up my body and I was like this is so dumb so I stopped taking all forms of birth control and then I also remember Dr. Jolene Brighton she like I didn't really follow her like really very closely but it was funny because she talked a lot about the pill and I was like I always kind of had a feeling that it wasn't really good for you and it's crazy how people are on this pill for like 10, 15, 20 years. I'm like this is literally not supposed to you're not supposed to be on it that long. And
Yeah.
I'm not like I mean I am a very firm advocate and you got to do what's right for you. I'm not telling anyone to ever stop medication because, like, some people genuinely feel better when they take it because they just don't have a regular period. But if you ever stop taking it, you have to understand that when you're on stuff like that that affects your hormones for so long, you have to give your body time to re-regulate itself. And it's not easy. Like it takes
Yeah.
time. Like especially when you're on it long term, like just keep in mind you're regulating your own hormones for like 20 years, like that's not going to get fixed overnight.
Mhm.
It's just not. You got to be patient, and that's probably why like tracking if you, especially if you have a regular period, I hard like firmly believe in like tracking and not just being safe in that sense. Like birth control is one of the most, it's so terrible. I honestly,
Yeah,
I'm,
especially for
it's so
women with
bad.
thyroid issues.
Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
really messes with, and it sucks because like I feel like women always get the short end of the stick, you know? We always have to take the hormonal birth control. We always have to carry the baby. Like we always have to give birth. Like it sucks. But
And
I
it's
don't know.
because
The
we
birth
are
control
amazing,
thing, like
miraculous super women.
the 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 birth control thing, I don't like. I mean, if men had to take birth control, it wouldn't be as shitty as it is, you know? Like I feel like I don't know. I just feel like as many women complain about birth control, but they don't like nothing is ever done about it. But I think a lot more people are learning about the whole tracking cycle, and it's been like really beneficial for a lot of people. So,
Yeah.
but again, like you got to do what's right for you. If you've been taking birth control and it's working for you, and that's great. I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong. You like do what's right for you. I just personally don't
Yeah.
like it. And I don't
Yeah.
like, yeah, I hate
Yeah.
try to be on as less pills as possible, even
Yeah.
supplements. I'm like, I'll take the minimum.
Yeah. And the thing that I've learned is if you're using a prescription medication to deal with something, um, there is always really great natural remedies that can
Mhm.
help you better.
Yes.
Because medications always have a side effect. I mean, tell
Yeah.
me any medication that doesn't have a side effect, please. Where
Yeah.
like natural remedies, the side effects are like awesomeness. So,
Some of them have some, but it depends on the person. And like most medication is based off of a natural source.
yeah.
I think we were talking about that last time when and I mean I kind of like it's hard. Like as much as I want to say like I hate medication, it's kept me alive my entire life. So like I can't I know that it's a necessary evil in some way. I just feel like they're so overprescribed that it's hard to like respect them in a way. But going to and also like it almost comes down to a sustainability thing too. Because if you have like how many people have thyroid issues, you have that many people taking natural desiccated thyroid hormones, like you got to kind of talk about the sustainability thing too, right? Like we just can't make that much natural desiccated thyroid for everyone.
Well,
And
if you think
same
about
with like
it,
harvesting and
the desiccated part of it comes from a pig's gland, right?
hmm,
So the way I've looked at it is, okay, well, they're slaughtering pigs every single day for pork chops, for bacon, whatever else meat that is constantly eaten every single day or consumed in some form or fashion. What they do is that they just simply take the gland from the pig that they're using for the meat for other purposes, and
hmm,
then they dehydrate it and they grind it down into a powder, and then that's what they put with the fillers into our medication. That's ultimately just the basic process, right? So I've wondered that myself. What is the sustainability of this? And
hmm,
so, and that's why I also think the doctors lean towards the synthetic, because it's all fake, and they can
yeah,
keep creating the fake.
yeah.
It
It's hard. It's there's so many like it's so hard because also then if you look at that as well and then you look at all the like if you want to talk about stress and like going to the doctor and getting your thyroid checked because and you're under stress because you're afraid of needles and stuff, but then the pig that was slaughtered was also terrified as well, so you're getting like the terrified pig's thyroid gland that could be causing issues in your body. It's like we can't go down this rabbit hole, Sarah. This is gonna be a long talk.
Yeah, and we've already. Yeah, I know you and me. We can talk forever. There are so many rabbit holes to go down. So we should probably wrap it up because it's been an hour. I
Oh
mean,
my
you were.
God.
Yeah, it goes fast. I know. Let's see. What did Jessica just say? We just need a good company who genuinely cares about their product and people who take them. Okay, well, maybe we should all be that company. You know?
Yeah,
There's no reason
that
why
would
we
be,
can't start that company and why we can't help out. Like that's the one thing, like more and more as I dive into what do I want to do with the blessing that I've been given of my health again and being a coach. You know, it's like how far and wide do I want to help this community? And you know, there's not a lot of people that are stepping
Yeah.
up. You know, so many millions of women are like screaming at the top of their lungs of like how bad they're being gaslighted or treated, you know, how poorly they're being treated at their appointments, or how poorly the medications are making them feel, and you know, and all these things. But like, what's going to make it stop? What's going to make it change? Or, you know, like, we're the ones that have to do something about it. So
Yeah.
I
I
don't
think
know.
that comes from being informed. Like I think that more people that understand and know about their own medication and they start demanding things, like, and I'm not saying demand like you go in there and throw a tantrum and start being rude to people, but I just mean like you just don't settle. You know, like if you want to get your thyroid checked and you want it to get all the tests, either do it yourself or and take it to your doctor and be like, this is what this means, and be informed about your own medication and your own issue. Because the more that people know, and this is where like empowerment comes from, and it gives the patient their power back. And I feel like coaches like yourself, like I know it's really easy to play victim and be like, yeah, I have thyroid disease and blah, 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 and all these things are happening, blah, blah, blah. But the second you take ownership of that and you learn as much as you can, you have the power. Like you ultimately pay them, and you like you're allowed to ask for what you need to have. And like the more people that do that, the more power we have. And like the more demands these like people make, then the system will change. Like they started testing T4 finally. That wasn't just like fluke. It was because people kept asking for it. Because that became a standard protocol. So it's like it will change. It takes time, especially with especially with this industry, but it will happen. And like that's why it's so important for people to just do research and know and not be fooled by fad diets and crazy stupid shit, and just learn your own body and what you need, and
And
study and ask questions and do as much as you can.
yeah, 100%. I agree with you 1,000 bazillion percent. The empowerment is like what saved me, my own empowerment, and getting out of the just believing everything they said, and learning. But
Mhm.
I mean, I also think it would be perfectly awesome for us to all make some signs and go march down the downtown San Diego area. You know, make some noise, get some media involved. You know, because I'm fed up with it. You know, I want some change in the system for women, and so we'll see what I concoct. So
Yes, you're a fiery lady. I love it. You're gonna,
yeah,
I
and
know
I know
it's like
you got my back, and I know Jess got my back, and I know Kim's got my back, and everyone else on here.
I
So
think one more quick thing is just like I know it's so easy to like I was saying play victim and stuff, but I truly truly believe that like getting a thyroid illness is like one of the it's like your purpose in life in a way. Like it might not be everyone's, but I know for a fact I wasn't born with this for a reason. I wasn't like people like me who were born with a condition are like literally the universe being like, this is your gift, figure it out, you know? And like I feel like it's kind of the same for you. Like who were you before you got it and who are you now and what are you doing? And it's like these things don't just happen. These things are like, I don't know, I guess for specific types of people, they're the people that create the change,
giving me
you know?
chills.
Like,
You're giving
I
me
know
chills
it
right now.
sucks and it's not easy, but remember you're always where you're supposed to be for a reason and you'll get better. You just have to be persistent and not give up. And if your health is really, really important to you, I guarantee you'll figure it out. You just have to be persistent.
Slow clap into all that, sister. And that is why I opened my song. That's right, Jess. That's why
Yes,
I
I
opened
love
my
that song
song.
too. It's like one of my favorite songs.
That's one of your favorite songs too?
Yes. Oh my God. I like bawl to that song. I like cry all the time to that song. I'm
Yeah,
like, oh my God,
that's right. See, heaven's got a plan for you, and that is
it's
exactly what you just said. My illness has been the biggest blessing in my life, and you're right. I don't like, I am not the woman I was back then, and I'm so blessed and thankful for that. I literally wake up every single day excited for another day of, I don't even like to call it work because I don't consider this work, you know.
yeah.
It's like what I love to do every day, and it's just such a blessing. And
Yeah.
talking to women like you and having such a fantastic community, it's like, this isn't work. This is just like pure joy and love and happiness. And I'm so grateful that we can all come together and support each other and empower each other and educate. Thank you so much for all of the amazing nuggets you always drop, your truth bombs, girl. Oh, like, wow. I love talking to you. You just totally
Uh,
always make my day.
you
So
too, Sarah. We love you guys. We love you. You're awesome.
thank you. I love you guys too. All right. Well, on that note, let's wrap it up, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your comments and your questions, everyone. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Talk to you later. Bye, everyone.